in response, as there is still open available. But we'll see what JDG want to secure here. An AD carry could make a lot of sense if there's something you want to secure in that regard, considering you banned quite a few yourselves. We could also look towards that mid lane matchup, right? We've seen LeBlanc was something banned last series when teams wanted to pick Ahri. It is a skill matchup, and it will be secured for Yagao.
Trying to get that Yagao versus Knight skill matchup there. I will say, just as a side point here before we get into the rest of the draft, on paper, can really appreciate the Wukong pick in the LPL. I think it actually fits so well with the LPL style of jungle, with the fact that you have the ebb and the flow of the engage / disengage, but you also have full on, cyclone flanks, things like that for the junglers. And I really want to see how Kanavi can perform on this pick this time around.
I mean, I feel like it's such a good pick for him. Kanavi can be so creative with finding approaches to team fights. Definitely a strong one. And now Top Esports, they will lock in that Gwen for Wayward, so pretty solid pick in that regard. And they potentially toying with the idea of taking a jungler here. Do have an opportunity. I think the Lee Sin is what makes most sense in my mind, especially with the charm setup from the Ahri. But a lot of directions we could see Tian go in. The Graves is something we've seen show up a lot today. It was there early in the MSI patch, kind of fell off as the tournament went along. Definitely something we could see come out, and they are going to lock that in. Now, JDG, you can either take an AD carry here before they get banned away, or you can match the Gwen, and Kale is open. So you could take the Kale here, knowing you're going into the Gwen. We saw how that matchup went earlier today. Gwen struggles to find pressure in it, and then you outscale because, you're Kale, right? That's just how it works. So could see that come out here for 369.
And I do want to see if we get a differentiation from that first series, from that kind of, everybody's picking up some scaling and trying to figure out how they can make it to the late game if we do get a little bit of that early game propensity, even though I don't think, right now that is going to be the take early on in the split. We do have the Ezreal locked in for JDG. We got to see that be piloted to fruition by Betty last game in the second game of the first series of the day. Can appreciate how strong Ezreal can get in the mid-game power spikes here in this game.
Yeah, and there's already 3 AD carry bans, and JDG can ban more now and really thin the pool for JackeyLove if they want to.
Don't tell me we get 5 ADC bans.
Yeah,
no way.
Really hitting JackeyLove here. Now, for Top Esports, I think the Kale ban makes complete sense here. I think you can also ban Gangplank as well if you really want to thin things. They are going to go for the Jace. It is something that we saw in Spring being a good counter to the Gwen. Didn't see it work as well as MSI. I think a lot of people remember Zeus trying it against Bin and not working in the finals. But they will respect it. Top Esports banning that one out. I think next ban, probably the Kale. The JDG, will we get the 5 AD carry bans? A lot of respect thrown towards that world champion.
No
but it
way!
will be all 5 AD carry bans from JDG.
I'm out of here, Aux. Have a good day. What?
See you later,
What
dude. I feel like
Oh.
That's the response Top East. Well, JackeyLove might be taking here. The pool thinned, and I think Kalista and Kai'Sa make a lot of sense into the Ezreal specifically.
Yeah.
Now for Top Esports, will they ban away the Kale? That is my big question in this situation.
Like they might still be thinking about the 5 bans towards JackeyLove here. They do actually have a ban away. It is the Karma. So going with something that can pair up with that Ezreal down in the bot lane for JDG.
Yeah, something that makes laning into the Ezreal very difficult. The Ezreal Karma, really strong harass. I think JDG can take a top laner here and leave counter pick for support if they want to. Not sure if they are going to do that, though. Looks like they might be toying with the idea of the Sett. Technically a flex, but we've only really seen it played in the support role recently.
Hey, the pit boss.
Not sure how I feel about this blind. We'll see if they end up using that flex. I don't think it's likely. We have kind of just seen this in the support role. I'm not sure what we'll see in response coming out from the likes of Top Esports, but 2 options that could come in. There's Twitch Renata, which we've talked about Kalista Renata a lot, but Twitch Renata has apparently been shown up in scrims quite a bit. You pop out of stealth, you pop that W, and then the enemy team can't kill you, right? And Twitch just does enough DPS to shred a whole team. They are toying with the idea of going for the Rakan instead, force them engage. We'll see which they commit to. I think the Renata would be really powerful, especially into the Wukong.
Yeah, especially with a little bit of that dive potential there. But they do.
Oh, man, we don't get it. We don't get it.
I know. I was getting so excited building this up. Like, oh my God, I'm going to get to see the Twitch Renata. But no, it is Top Esports picking up the Rakan as their last pick. Give a little bit of that engage, a little bit of that disengage there for themselves. And I feel like it does match up decently well with some of their other choices here. But that means that JDG is the final pick on the table. And it is looking like a support pickup here as Sett could be going towards that top side of the map. And it's the Yuumi picked up for the Ezreal.
Yeah, so it looks like they did make use of that flex of the Sett and end up putting in the top lane. I feel like you can get up close and personal with the Gwen in the early laning phase, but you will be outscaled like to a ridiculous degree. Gwen is obviously a monster later on. Sett can still find those engages, which are powerful, but yeah, top esports having the advantage in scaling there. But they pick up the Yuumi in the bot lane, and I think this is a good matchup into the Twitch and the Rakan. Rakan doesn't have threat on this lane. You can't really punish an Ezreal after level 2 because he will just arcane shift your W. And as much as the Twitch will scale exceptionally, you now have this Ezreal Yuumi who spikes in the mid game quite hard. Yuumi can attach to the Wukong, can attach to LeBlanc, can attach to anyone basically to look for those extra pick potentials. But I do feel like at some point of this game, going up against a Twitch and a Gwen, the late game might become a little bit difficult for JDG. So we'll have to see how they manage that early game and how they carry things out through there.
So before we get to a conversation about the top side of the map, which I think will obviously rule this series so much, I do want to zoom in on this bottom side a little bit, because the Twitch Rakan combo into the Ezreal Yuumi, you were talking earlier, maybe some early aggression from the Twitch in trying to find something in the bottom lane. But is that where do you think that's a win condition here, where they can try and get the Twitch ahead for JackeyLove and really find a way forward? Or is Ezreal pretty much going to play safe the whole time and then we just see what happens on the rest of the map?
I think it depends how JDG plays the bot lane now. But the problem is Ezreal Yuumi can kind of just harass you down freely, and you can't do too much in return. Like I said, Mark, past level 1, unless Missing makes a mistake, because we did see this even at MSI Game 5, Carrier getting jumped on by Ming because he stepped out level 2. I think that one is burnt into my mind. But assuming that they play it correctly, JDG should never feel pressure from the enemy bot lane pre-6, and they should just be able to harass and farm. And the problem is, not only is it the Rakan who can't pressure the Ezreal much, you also have Tian on the Graves, who isn't the best ganker. So as long as JDG respect that, they shouldn't feel too much pressure in that area, and they should just be able to have a lot of strength in the bot lane, a lot of priority. Mid lane's more for skill matchup, but Yagao has opted for the Ignite to give an advantage there. We'll see how that goes. And 369, I expect to be able to handle Wayward in the early levels on this Gwen. So JDG have strong lanes, and it's up to Kanavi what he can do with that to find an advantage. I feel like there is a timer to an extent on JDG.
For sure. And it's really exciting as we get into the first game of this best of 3. Who's going to take first blood? Who's going to take first blood on the season in this historic rivalry between TES and JDG? But it's really about who's looking forward to making something happen in summer. Which one of these teams is really going to step up to play and not finish second, not just finish top 4, but come out for the win and come out and represent the LPL at Worlds? As we do get down to the nitty-gritty, we talked a little bit about the bot lane, the win conditions that come from there. But again, we did foreshadow to it. It is the Tian versus Kanavi matchup that will mean so much in this early game, and especially how that plays towards these solo laners.
I mean, I feel like junglers was so important last playoffs, and that's going to be repeat here. And as you said, both these teams, that might have been a mistake, actually.
It's an immediate ignite from Mark as soon as he hit the double knockup as well, missing. Having to go away into Hope as he was getting burned down. Some of the damage going through. JackeyLove, sub 200 health here, but it's just going to be the trades back and forth.
Yeah, so they managed to find the pressure onto Missing, but ultimately we actually saw JackeyLove go the Q, the ambush level 1, instead of the expunge, so didn't have the damage to burst him out before he could reattach. And ultimately a lot of summoners burnt from JDG, so even though JackeyLove got low, I still say this favors JDG. Oh, see the heavy trade here, but I mean, remember 369 has a lot of sustain, but does manage to survive there. But yeah, JDG have a lot of combat summoners with the Yuumi. You have 3, enemy team have 2, and they have burnt them all, so I think top esports can be happy.
And we're talking about longevity, we're talking about history for these teams. This is the 600th game for JDG as an organization. I think that's absolutely huge when you're talking about the history of the LPL. When we were talking about the rivalries between these two squads, and especially, coming into summer, we're talking about the high hopes that both these two squads can have.
I mean, I think that's what you got to take away, right? Both of these teams top 4 in spring, and the expectation is that if they repeat that performance and they're a top 4 team in summer, they will make Worlds, and that is the big goal for these organizations. Obviously, neither of them were able to get a win in the spring split, but still had really solid performances and have expectations to live up to. And I think, importantly, when you're playing against another team who you expect to be at the top of the standings, a win can make such a difference. You're not only giving yourself that point, but denying a point from someone who will be close to you in the standings can make the difference between you maybe making it into the top top 2, so you actually get into the double elim, or having to do what Top Esports did and fight their way through the bracket, which obviously can be far riskier.
Exactly. I think it's all about the journey to that point, right? And I think the journey is always the most interesting part. It's not about the destination, it's the journey. Speaking of the journey, though, starting off this split, right, we are getting a ton of differences in the meta, things like that. But I do want to highlight the fact that, you know, we haven't said it too much, but it is the JackeyLove Twitch to kick off their first series of the split in LPL. Something we don't often see in the LPL is the Twitch as well.
Yeah, it's been over 300 days since we last saw the Twitch in the LPL, so quite a while. I think that was. We got that stats from production. So a while since we've seen it. Obviously, this meta has kind of opened up a lot more of those hyper carries. Let's hone in a little bit in this top lane matchup. So Sett into Gwen is typically a good matchup because you can get up in her face and just beat up on her like this. But Wayward has been handling these trades so well, dodging away from the true damage there, getting the Qs on consistently. And 369 picked this as an answer to the Gwen. And so far, Wayward has had his number.
He has. Obviously need to see how it pans out once you get to that level 6 mark, things like that, especially the benefit that 369 can have in team fights with the setup of the showstopper and things along those lines. But in the laning phase, at least, yeah, Wayward is definitely giving 369 something to think about up there in those terms. But we still haven't seen really that much activity coming out of these junglers. Where last series, we were seeing early game pathings. Even if we weren't getting the crazy blood early on, we were still seeing a lot of the skirmishing go down. This time around, both junglers really fine with kind of setting their own tempo within their jungle.
And I think for the Graves, that's really fine. Graves is someone who just wants to farm up and get a lead out of CS and really scale into the later stages. Wukong does have more early presence, but even then, I think this is just how the meta has developed. Because you can't dive early anymore, there is less windows to make things happen. You can still gank if people have the lane in wrong position, but kind of the fact was before, if your lane had priority and was extending pressure, then you could dive. If the enemy team had priority, then you could gank. It's kind of half the opportunities as a result. So, oh, do you see a bit of a skirmish coming out here?
We do. Knight getting the electrocute popped on him. Tian shows up as well, but Kanavi is right there to make sure Yagao is safe and sound. The level 6s have been achieved for the mid laners. See the Spirit Rush available now for Knight if they want to get a move on, but it's going to be towards this dragon area that we'll see a presence from both these teams, at least more majorly from Top Esports. I don't know how early these dragon objectives are going to be focused, though, as the mid lane has definitely been pressed in and leading to priority for Top Esports.
Yeah, and let's take stock of the lanes, right? So top lane, we saw 369 have a good trade before, but ultimately hasn't been able to find too much pressure in the matchup. Wayward pretty far ahead in terms of CS. Mid lane, Knight is not only ahead in farm, but also pressuring Yagao under the turret. Remember, Yagao took Ignite, so isn't able to take that free reset with TP, has lost a plate, and is currently stuck in lane with no mana. So Knight really applying pressure on the 1v1. And even if we look towards bot lane, we were kind of saying that, like, Hope and Missing should be able to freely harass and trade in this lane. They also haven't found too much of an advantage, and obviously this Twitch is going to scale exceptionally, and this priority on the bot side has allowed Tian to just push in and start to contest these jungle camps, which is exactly what the Graves wants to be doing now. Hope's looking to defend here.
Oh no! Oh, he has the arcade shift away. At the same time,
that's how it goes.
Kanavi is coming down this way. There's 4 bodies down here for Top Esports. Knight just around the corner here as Tian and the rest of TES make their way out of JDG's jungle. This is the pressure that is gained from Top Esports in these early advantages.
Yeah, going to start this dragon as well. So for JDG, a composition where I said they need to be winning out the lanes, finding those early advantages, to be struggling at this point, not the best omen for how this game can pan out. But obviously, still much more opportunity for them to make things happen as we go further into this game. Top Esports actually end up not finishing off the dragon.
369. 369's getting a little bit of work done here. That showstopper was huge, but now Wayward has the advantage. Doesn't go for the kill. The snip, not enough.
But ultimately, 369 didn't have Ignite there. Ignite might have been able to help him out and cut down the healing from Gwen, but he burns the flash a much longer cooldown and has to do so because he was going to lose that against the Gwen. And I'm saying that again, if the Gwen is winning now, it's not looking good.
You don't say, Hugs. You don't say. This terrifying champion who just loves to take scissors and run around with them, the thing we've been told not to do since we were children, is strong. Tian in some trouble here in his own. He was the one putting the aggression. He was the one with the priority in lanes, and he dies to Kanavi.
The confidence from Kanavi comes in, the double proc of the ultimate. Tian doesn't find the space to get away. He did have flash and ultimate, but doesn't make the space. So Kanavi looking to challenge in that jungle matchup and does find a kill. Now, Hope and Missing able to poke out Mark and find some space. And now Kanavi, he has started up the Herald. Wayward trying to stall them alone and buy time. We can see Tian is coming back from base. They just want to stall this one out, and Kanavi is trying to rush it down.
And Yagao and Knight are just running all over the place. They've been just using ultis. They've been trying to hit each other all day long. It hasn't been working out. Tian finally making it, but it's just a little bit too late. Kanavi has already claimed the Rift Herald. Knight is here, though. Wayward looking forward, but that charm did not connect. 369, you got to be careful. But now it is Tian who dies for a second time within just a couple minutes, and Wayward joins him in the Death Realm.
And just as we were saying, things were looking a bit rough for 369. They find the skirmish around the Herald. I feel like Top Esports overestimated their strength there. The Herald is already gone. They just wanted to fight, and they saw 369. They were like, okay, no flash on this Sett. We can kill him. He can't escape. But JDG changed the game plan. They don't try and escape. They don't leave their Sett to die. And the fact is, if you're trying to chunk out a Sett, I mean, he's pretty good at stacking up that shield, allowing the turnaround. We can see the play here. So Top Esports posturing. They want the fight. You can see Kanavi moves into the pit, and they think, okay, maybe we can just kill the Sett. But Sett starts to stack up that grit. Look at that full bar.
Yeah.
Doesn't get the true damage, but Tian gets chunked out. And then Yuumi turns up. Really nice roam coming out from Missing. Kind of funny that he's missing from bot lane, and that's what helps solidify the play.
I don't know if I can follow you up on that one. Even I'm not here for that one. But no, it was great timing from JDG and just realizing, I feel like taking advantage of the momentum, right? Like you had that play where Kanavi finds out Tian on his roof. He goes aggressive. He gets the solo bolo. Right after that, Tian is forced to bolt it towards the Rift Herald to try and contest that one. He's forced into an unthinkable situation and dies right afterwards. You just took Tian off the map for so long and able to get so much for JDG. But you got to be careful of this top lane as 369 is getting a little bit of damage done to him by the snip of Wayward.
Yeah, I mean, 369 does have that regen that the Sett has, and you can see Wayward didn't even burn the Ignite. He knew he wasn't going to get the all-in because of the grit, but now we actually see Kanavi coming over. Remember, Wayward no ult.
He's so fast. He's so quick. That's the beauty of the Wukong that I was highlighting earlier. It just fits. It just feels good, man, as JDG's Kanavi picks up another kill.
And I think this is the thing, you know, Umbral Glaive is that early spike for the Graves, but the fact is, Divine Sundra, a more expensive item, already finished by the Wukong, and you can see the strength difference on this pick, able to burst through Wayward, and Kanavi is just running rampant in this game. We do see the Dragon secured by Top Esports, but JDG are the ones with the lead.
All right, Hope and Missing get a little bit down there. Final chapter was utilized by Missing in that little bit of a trade, but Rift Herald used in top lane. This will be first tower for JDG.
Yeah, and as much as the lanes went good for Top Esports, the momentum is well in favor of JDG. 3,000 gold lead. They get that first tower, but it looks like Top Esports might be coming up to contest. Won't actually find an opportunity and won't be able to stop them. And Kanavi has just been so fantastic this game. Tian, someone who we praised so heavily during the playoffs for Top Esports, is a big proponent of their early game advantages, being challenged and losing out. He is 2 levels down on Kanavi, does end up getting that Scuttle to bring himself up to level 8, but isn't able to find a pick onto the Wukong.
I want to talk a little bit about more of that because the jungle matchup is so key, but I think both junglers bringing such different pieces to the table this time around, right? Tian, solid damage, obviously really sustainability from the Graves itself. Kanavi on the other hand. Well, meanwhile, Yagao actually getting outplayed here by Knight. He can't commit because 369 is right there around the corner. Kanavi was right there around the corner. Meanwhile, JackeyLove and Hope going at it here. Flash from JackeyLove over the wall. He can't get it. Hope able to kite out, and now JackeyLove is in some trouble. He's going to need to use the ambush. He's got the minions chasing him down. Kanavi is coming to town with missing, and JackeyLove will go down.
I mean, JackeyLove trying for the play, didn't even have the ultimate, so it was a little bit bold. Felt like the Blade-Rune King could have been enough. And I think the moment he flashed in to follow like behind the turret, I was like, dude, you ain't getting out again after this one. Bit of a mistake. And I think this is the true indicator of how this top esports game is kind of panning out, right? Knight winning the 1v1 against Yagao. JackeyLove winning the 1v1 against Hope. But it's the team play from JDG, and they're looking for more here.
They got a TP out of TES here on the bottom side. Knight does rejoin his squad, but that's the conversation I want to go back to that I didn't get a chance to talk about, because I was saying about Graves for Tian brings a little bit of sustainability, some serious damage. But Kanavi, on the other hand, we've talked about his unique flanks. We've talked about his angles, but it's the Cyclones, it's the setup, it's the whole team fight utility that the Wukong brings to Kanavi and to JDG.
And it's just more pressure early on this great Wukong, which is why it saw such high priority at MSI, being able to find those great angles, the power in skirmishes, and Tian just hasn't found the momentum. But yeah, like that mid play, Knight nearly getting the all in and then being punished because JDG showed up. That play with JackeyLove, nearly getting the all in. Then it's JDG who show up. It's just better team play right now from JDG. So despite the strength we saw in the laning phase from top esports, despite those windows they're looking for, JDG are pulling ahead. 3,000 gold lead. And we hit on it before. The scaling is there for top esports, and JDG needed that momentum. They have that momentum right now. Kanavi 4-0-1 on that Wukong is a menace right now.
It's actually huge. 3K as well in the lead for JDG there, as 369 taking a trade from Knight. Not going to come up with much. He is a pretty tanky individual. Oh my God. Tian just can't catch a break.
That's painful.
He can't catch a break.
Yeah, that is not a fun thing. I know, obviously, it's not just a denial of the blue, but also giving that over to Yagao, allowed him to hold up in lane a bit longer. We've seen Knight actually the one to answer 369. It's actually a bit painful for 369, as the set is you're never really going to get on the Ahri. And also, level 11 for Knight to level 9 of 369. 42 CS over him, and obviously they didn't go up against each other. It's not like he found that CS advantage in the lane versus him, but it's still the extra power afforded to the Ahri. And now top esports are trying to play towards his bot tower and pick it up. The response for JDG will be that second herald, but I think top esports can be happy with this trade. When you're down in gold, you'll take what you can get.
Exactly. You'll give the gold over to Knight. You did see on the opposite side of the map, Yagao was putting in some pressure against Wayward on that tier 2 tower up there, but it is a big objective secured for TES as they get something of gold back. They try to make a dent in this gold lead that JDG have gotten themselves, but it's to the mid lane now as JDG look to take down another outer tower.
And the pressure's just there. The Twitch can't really find a window to get in, especially when Kanavi can be hovering around, and so it's just poke, poke, poke coming out. This mid game for the Ezreal Yuumi will really shine, and you just can't trade effectively. If you're not killing the Ezreal, the Yuumi will help and out sustaining, will just poke you down. That Triforce already in pocket and closing in on having that mana immune as well will be a big spike, and that's where JDG should really take control. Now, one saving grace is top esports got that early dragon. Oh, looking for an engage.
They might have found Hope. Don't hit the quickness there, but they do find the damage. Hope dies. Final chapter comes out. Kanavi is going to go on a rampage at this point, though. Getting healed up from missing. It's no longer Hope and missing as the duo. It is Kanavi and missing. And another tower bites the dust for JDG.
Yeah, again, it feels like every time Kanavi is there and Tian just gets exploded in response. But now, look at the
ambush. That's huge. Spray and pray there, as well as the damage. See if he can get the expunge, but can't do the damage just yet.
Yeah, does chunk him out, gets the flash from Yagao. Still a trade up in that regard. And we see towers trade on the other side of the map. Wayward will pick up top. 369 picks up bot lane. And again, I think top esports are okay. If you're trading when you're down in gold, you'll take it. But JDG now pick up that dragon. It is an Infernal Soul, which will obviously be massive for them. They already have a lot of poke, a lot of long-range bursty damage with the LeBlanc and the Ezreal. But a long way from securing that themselves. We see the replay. Mark tries to predict the Arcane Shift. Very close, but does still get the charm. It just means that there's a bit more survival for Hope. But then Kanavi with the Yuumi on him as well. That's the scary thing. It's like when you have a fed bruiser for Yuumi to attach to, it just becomes so much more difficult. Wukong is already hard to kill. You attach a Yuumi, and it's just a pain. Yeah, 5-0, working on that death stance. Once he has the death stance, he will become even more of a problem.
And I think the rest of JDG can just kind of follow behind Kanavi's lead, and that's exactly the setup we put for Kanavi, right? He is the flag bearer. He is the main reason why JDG can find success early on through the jungle. And I love to see that he's performing well in the Wukong pick. We have the Rift Herald utilized in mid lane, trying to get that tier 2 tower. The charge will come off, and JDG now move forward under the tower onto Knight and Tian, and won't find any kills because of it. They'll just keep up the pressure in the red side jungle of TES.
JDG got about a 4,000 gold lead right now, 7 kills to 1. We have a replay lower down yet.
Wait, what? Oh my god,
JackeyLove
True Shot Barrage
just gets deleted. True Shot Barrage coming in, it's enough. And now 1 kill on the board for Top Esports, down in towers, down significantly in gold. We hit on it before. Late game, I feel favors them, but you have to get there. And I think this is where JDG are really spiking. But Top Esports trying to make a play on 369.
He is completely caught out here. They're even TPing and everything. Showstopper comes out immediately. Wayward chasing him down with the needlework. Spirit Rush was also used. He got the Haymaker back, but Wayward picks up the kill.
Yeah, it's actually a really good window because we're at just before 19 minutes. If you do that play in a minute and a half, they will just take Baron. So that is your window to try and punish JDG in the side lane. It does mean, however, they will look to try and take this top tier 2. And they should just be able to get this one before you can respond. We do see Wayward trying to answer. If they do trade these towers, then I think Top Esports win out on this one, right? You got the kill as a bonus, and if you're down in gold trading even, it's good. But JDG still making sure they answer whenever you try and take an advantage.
And they do get that tier 2 tower on the bottom side for Wayward, so at least a little bit of gold gotten back. It's still a 3,000 gold lead for JDG under that 20-minute mark, and it's been more so about Kanavi finding avenues into the TES backline, into the TES jungle, and really just forcing the hand of Tian and the rest of the squad.
I think now, though, we can kind of talk about critical mass. This is the point, right? Ezreal is about to have his 2-item spike. The Mirror Mana stacked. We have the Death Dance for Kanavi. When you're already lacking damage, he's going to feel invincible. This is the point where JDG, I want to see them try and get a big team fight win and look to transition that into Baron to carry this momentum on. They're in prime position to close out this game. They just need the window. We have Dragon in a minute 30. We'll see if Top Esports look to contest that. But honestly, I think a big factor is look how many towers have been taken by JDG. Both inner and outer in the top and mid. And what that means is JDG can push really deep and look to secure vision, and it's very hard for Top Esports to contest this side of the jungle.
No. Oh no, come on.
Goodbye.
How did they know? Oh, Tian, I believed in you. I had the feeling. I was like, oh, you're gonna 007 this one, but he does not, as Kanavi smelled blood in the water, takes him out.
And now look at 369, trying to potentially find a flank angle here around mid. Top Esports should be able to back away. They won't find anything yet, but Yagao still fishing for something. Now, just taking the jungler down, they don't feel like it's enough to try and do the Baron. If you're stuck in the Baron pit against Gwen Twitch, it would be painful. But look at the control that JDG are establishing around this Baron area. Their goal is just make this a pocket of vision you can't contest, and then you can keep looking for picks like these. Tian ends up trying to clear the wave up in the top side. This gives information over to the enemy team, and he starts to see them moving. So ends up backing away. True Shot Barrage cancels the recall. At this point, Kanavi knows. He knows he has to be roughly where he is. If he doesn't see him, he's in the brush. They take him out and get that easy kill.
Dirty. That's some great teamwork from JDG, though. I love to see it. The call out with the True Shot Barrage and realizing, you know, a key member, Tian, who we would all, you know, think of as a main driving force for TS, is shut down out of the game. 0-4 now on the Graves. And I think on the other side, that 6-0 is standing oh so strong right now for the Wukong, as he has completed that Death Dance, working on his 3rd item. But Dragon, on the other hand, is being taken by Sett Wukong, as Kanavi and 369 taking their 2nd Dragon of the game.
Yeah, Top Esports not even going to contest this one. Easy pickup for JDG. And it is still going to be about 10 minutes till a possible soul for JDG. So at least that early Dragon means Top Esports have still about 32 minutes before soul is on the cards. More time to scale, but things are looking rough right now. And that's the thing, you know, the Yuumi benefits massively when a teammate is really strong. She kind of, do you think of her as like an amplifier? If you have a strong teammate, she can heal them, buff them, make them even stronger. So having this super fed Wukong is such a problem. We also have the Sett with the Death Dance. These targets are going to take such a lot of effort for Top Esports to kill, especially when they're behind on damage. And it just means more opportunity for a turnaround. Once again, Kanavi moving into this topside jungle, looking to sweep out vision and just try and deny as much area as possible away from top esports. Invoke that fog of war and force top esports to contest the Baron.
And I want to talk about the strengths that we're looking for and looking out for in top esports, right? We're waiting on the second item, the mythic completion for JackeyLove. I think that'll be a decent spike for them. But where do you think that this game turnaround is really going to come from? Is it going to be out of these solo laners? Is it going to be the JackeyLove carry? Guess we'll wait to find out as Knight and Wayward are getting dragged down here. 369 actually dies to Wayward. Yagao just gets the kill to Wayward afterwards, though, immediately. And now Kanavi is hunting, but the TP is going to be enough. Oh, he makes it out. Knight, the golden left hand.
And they were trying to look for the plays in the side lane, get a numbers advantage. Yagao was there, though, makes the 1v1. But you can see even this early, right? You're talking about power spikes to look for. Wayward is still a threat against that Sett. I think for me, the Gwen's really going to come online 3 items, I think, as well. She becomes the main powerhouse. You know, if she goes that Zhonya's third, she's hard to burst down and has all that DPS. I think the Twitch will waiting longer, though. But we'll watch this replay. And ultimately, the damage available to this Gwen so significant. The ult from 369 actually pulling the Gwen away from Yagao's burst. It's split target focus. Yagao could have probably just executed Wayward, but looks for Knight. And as a result, they get the trade kill. Now, JackeyLove has nearly 2 items. I feel like really 3-4 items is where he's kind of hitting that pivotal point. Probably 4. You know, get your mythic, get something like Lord Doms for the armor pen, and then get an IE. That is the point where top esports are critical mass. So JDG, there is a timer. So they are still far ahead, and they are looking for Baron. It is a long way away.
That's like looking out into the future right now and trying to see what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes. The Baron, speaking of the future, is burning down from JDG. Here comes TES to try and make something happen. TP is coming in as well. Baron about 2,500. Here comes the showstopper, though. And TES, they might have gotten duped here. The Baron is still being taken. The split focus from JDG might just doom them, as it is Kanavi who secures the Baron. What about the fight after? The Cyclone, that's huge. Yagao gets the shutdown on a Wayward, and the rest of TES fall like dominoes. Knight will die. Kanavi goes with more kills, and Yagao trying to chase down Mark as the last remaining member of TES. That is a 7-0 Kanavi Wukong to start off the season.
And they'll get the final kill as well. All members of top esports going down. Baron secured by Kanavi, and then he joins the fight, and he ends the fight. The rivalry still goes on, and JDG have the edge right now. 7-0 on the Wukong for Kanavi. 5-0 for Yagao on that LeBlanc. 0-0-10 for missing. Hasn't died yet. They managed to secure the Baron. 7k gold lead. You know what? You said that you were saying, Mazel, the 4-item spike for the Twitch is a long way away. I don't think it's going to happen. This game does not look like it. And you see the fight initially starts quite close, right? They kill Tian, sure, but Wayward starts to find momentum. But this whole time, Kanavi's just finishing the Baron, and then he does it. And he's like, okay, it's go time. Dives
Cyclone,
over the wall,
baby,
and just obliterates everyone.
The reactivation there. Just Kanavi being, like, you know, they say the saying is like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Well, Kanavi had his cake and he was eating it too at that point. Like, he was able to finish out the Baron by himself and then also go in to make sure he's got the game-winning plays and the fight-winning plays. And I think that's
he's just like, give me a sec, guys. Just, you know, finish the Baron.
Hold on. You can last for a couple more seconds, right? Guys, I got one more bite.
Wait up. Hold up. And then he just shows up and decimates them. And yeah, and as much as Wayward is feeling stronger and stronger in these fights, it just doesn't compare to this Wukong who basically just bursted him out, right? Black Cleaver completed, Death Dance, Divine Sundra, great at shutting these tankier targets. And kind of interesting play coming off the top esports here. They're trading inner towers. Now, in terms of gold, this definitely favors top esports. But JDG have the Baron that's going to help them push. Yagao is headed back. 369 is there as well. They're trying to defend. In return, it looks like the bot lane is here for top esports.
That's a big showstopper back. Wayward is completely caught out. And now the rest of their base is forfeit at this point.
Yeah,
they have the TP back. They're losing their Nexus towers here. And Yagao is keeping them in the fold. It's still a 3v3 here back at the base, though. JDG want to end the game, but they don't have the minion wave to do so. As Tian gets caught in the picture, he gets finally taken down. TES, they have the numbers here, but they can't put a defense up.
This isn't going well. They're looking for the engage
back.
now.
That is a big engage from Mark, but what about the back line? JackeyLove is already dead. Mark is already dead. Knight, the golden left hand, can't make it happen. And the Nexus is the only thing left to bear for TES. It will go down so slowly but surely, and JDG strike first blood in this series.
Oh, Wayward looking, but the Nexus is gone. You can't even get the kill back in return. And JDG dominating that game. That's like the early laning phase. I think that's when top esports had an edge. We'll look at the goal graph and be like, oh, you know, there's like that little bump at the start. And then it was all JDG for the entire game. The jungle gap. We highlight this matchup as being pretty important. We highlight Tian as being someone who was massive for top esports in spring, in playoffs. It didn't even look close. It was such a jungle gap between these two. Kanavi dominating the rift on this Wukong and just head and shoulders above Tian in this game. JDG, a fantastic performance.
Gotta give huge props to Kanavi. I know we talked about him from the beginning of the series itself, but
you know what? He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty damn good. To show out the way that he did against Tian, the former world champion, against this jungler for TS, who has all the pieces around him. You were talking about, you know, Tian, JackeyLove, and being able to play around Knight himself, and it just didn't come to fruition there. That first solo bolo from Kanavi really set the pace for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and it felt like every time where you saw a spark of the TES individual proficiency, JackeyLove trying for the 1v1, you know, the outplay of Knight into Yagao in the solo lane. I will actually say, I think individually, I would say in the laning phase, we saw top esports actually have the advantage, you know?
Yeah.
We said about this bot lane for JDG, they should be able to poke them out. Didn't happen. Mid lane's a bit of a skill matchup, and Yagao even had Ignite. He got bullied and lost plates. Top lane was supposed to be favored of 369, and Wayward was handling it perfectly fine, even winning some of those all-ins. And it didn't matter because Kanavi was everywhere, making it happen.
Graph.
And look, I told you about the goal graph, dude. That little bump
It's the little blip. It's the little blip.
Little blip, and then it's all JDG all the time. And he gave the room to his laners. It was purely that jungle difference. And I can credit the other team, the other members of JDG who definitely stepped up. And I think this is the critical thing for JDG is they are so good as a team, so good as a unit. But Kanavi is that leader for them. And really, the difference between him and Tian was what solidified this win.
And I'm really interested at the way they approached game number 2, but the Sett pickup into the Gwen. 369 had some very interesting pieces to the early game, but the fact of the matter is, you have that team fight potential with the Sett. And I think that's something that was very differing in the way that both these teams approached this game and through their draft, right? Like I was talking about the points in the game where, Graves is a good damage dealer. But that's what he does. Wayward on the Gwen is a good damage dealer. But the utility isn't necessarily there. And the team fight set up for 369 for JDG as a whole was there. You had the utility from the flanking Cyclones from Kanavi, the showstopper to kind of set things right in the game, in the fights as well. And I think that was super important to look at when you're looking at the draft, docs.
Yeah, I think they had the tools to make it happen. And as much as there was concerns, right? Because the scaling options were there for top esports, the coordination wasn't, and the tools to make fights happen quickly. I love the fact that they had this Yuumi as well. And even in that last fight, Missing played really well. I mean, this is actually a point that I was bringing up earlier today, is how proficient will these players we've typically seen on Leon and Nautilus look at Enchanters. Missing had a fantastic Yuumi game. At the end, using the ultimate, the final chapter, to interrupt the dash from the Rakan, stop the engage. Just really excellent.
It was excellent. And a way for JDG to really come out of the gates swinging in this first series of their summer split. We will have to see if top esports can bounce back after that, though, and see if we get